In similarly, entertainment industry, there's a lot of conversation concerning how monies are being spent and used, particularly when it comes to artists and artist management.
Absolutely. Now we're talking about Michael Adebayo Olayinka, better known by his stage name Ruger, recently broke up with Jonzing World, the record company that made him famous, and he has chosen to discuss the reasons for the breakup. Ruger expressed gratitude to his former record label CEO, the Prince, that's of course the brother to Don Jazzy, for his efforts, but stated that he was unable to extend his contract since the company did not promote his brand to the extent that he desired. The dancehall sensation claimed he couldn't take it any longer, and for 5 more years he couldn't take that, and that his previous company was using his money to support emerging musicians. Joining us this morning is O.C. Dirisu, music writer and presenter. He'll be joining us shortly to explore the depth of this conversation.
That's right. Looking at that conversation, very key, especially timely in the fact that the industry itself, which is the entertainment industry, is equally faced with a lot of economic pressures too, breathing down the neck of every single record label. But guess what? According to the research, I did read one recently, it also mentioned that despite the hardship that every industry or sector is facing, entertainment seems to be the least to face that hardship as well, because we did see in December, a few persons were able to host their events and it was still filled up. People still went. So regardless of whatever happens, Nigerians will always want to have a great time.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that's giving us joy. If your government is not giving you joy, go and listen to music. Let's take a look at Ruger's tweet where he shared his sentiments regarding his last record label. He says, "As much as I'm very appreciative of the fact that Jonzing World introduced me to the world, I just couldn't continue with them because they got too comfortable with the money they were making from me and couldn't push me further as I wanted to be pushed. Was supposed to renegotiate the contract, but I couldn't imagine 5 years more without action." If you look further into the story, there have been reports of them signing a new artist, making him take 1 bedroom in the boys' quarters of their headquarters or HQ, and then signing a new female artist, but she coming into a fully furnished apartment and just having a more lavish entrance into the record label. There's so many angles to explore, but conversations about artists, young budding artists, and record labels is an unending one. We'll keep seeing more and more of them. More and more of these conversations will keep happening because there are more talents that need to be explored. There are a number of them that are willing to sign any contracts just because they need an opportunity to showcase themselves. But then 2 years into the contract, they realize that they actually made a mistake signing that contract. So I think the advice would be to any record label or to any artist, incoming artist, young artists trying to find their feet in the entertainment industry. Keep putting your work out, keep pushing yourself on social media, and when the right record label comes, they'll offer you a contract. Make sure that you get a lawyer to look at your contract. I know we say this thing over and over again, but we sound like a broken record. Make sure, because the truth is, your sister went to school, but she cannot read in between the fine lines and sometimes point out the underlying clauses that might be there to serve as a cage to you. And this is not speaking about Ruger's case in particular. It's just talking about what we see. There's always this fallout between artist and record label. Get a lawyer. Even when the record label provides you a lawyer, get an independent lawyer to look through your documents.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done. Very, very easier said than done. Because for an artist, you're at a state of hunger.
Yeah, just
you're
in
at a
any
state
opportunity.
of, let me use the words that are being used today
Desperation.
compared to what we used to say 20 years ago. You want blue. So you are eager. You want to make it. So someone gives you a contract. Okay, let's take for instance, someone picks you up. You live in one of these suburbs in Lagos or in Abuja, and someone picks you up there and says, "Come, I'm going to give you a room. It's a room self-contained. You're going to stay there. You have AC in that room. Not just that, you also have breakfast and dinner." And then it tells you every month you would be getting 50,000 naira every month. You had nothing. And then there's a car provided for you. And that car will take you everywhere. And then your dream, that talent of singing to everyone, you're going to also have it. you think about it, you put one and two together. The time you have to go to the lawyer will tell you, no, don't take this. It is the artist that comes back to the label and say, please, damn my lawyer, I've signed. And then life goes on. You know, but the thing the bosses should also know is when you have a lengthy contract like that for the artist, you should be able to also ensure that you don't renege on your promises.
So sometimes they're not going back on their promises. What the artist signed, but then the artist realizes, oh, I am bigger than I thought I was going to get, and this is no longer suitable for the person of my class.
But that's life now.
You signed.
That's life.
So you have to wait out your contract.
You come in as a
rookie.
As a rookie, and then you've grown to be a professional. You should be treated as a professional. You know, so these are the
So maybe the appeal should also be to record labels, because whilst we understand that they're in there for business, it's not charity. They're there to make money. But I think that the one thing we can ask is that they be fair in the contracts. They be fair. I think that there are sometimes there should be provision for these contracts to be renegotiated maybe after 3 years, as opposed to, well, 5 years is usually what a number of them do, but record labels should be fair. Anyway, let's move away from the conversation about record labels to talk about something that the whole country has been focusing on. The federal government plans to build the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway at a total cost of 4 billion naira per kilometer, not the 8 billion naira per kilometer that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar allegedly stated. This means the project would cost 2.8 trillion naira in total. This information was disclosed by the Minister of Works, David Umahi, and the minister also disputed assertions that the project did not adhere to the proper procurement procedure, asserting that the contract was given on the basis of counterfunding rather than the widely held belief that it was a public-private partnership. And that's the update that we have there.
Well, the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate for the general election of 2023, Atiku Abubakar, indeed questioned last week President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's purported decision to award the contract to Gilbert Chagore's High-Tech without competitive bidding, and he dared the president to reveal the entire cost of the Lagos-Calabar Highway project. Well, don't forget too as well that the Minister of Works, Umahi, explained that despite the soaring cost of materials in the construction industry due to commodity price inflation and supply chain disruptions, the ministry is committed to prudence, promising to reveal the true costs. However, Umahi confirmed the project would be completed within 8 years, stating that with the use of concrete pavement on the 4-lane carriageway, the project costs 4 billion naira per kilometer. He also explained that although 1.06 trillion naira was appropriated, the full amount had not been disbursed. You can see the graphic representation of where it's going to start from and where it's going to all the way. It starts from Lagos and then, of course, straight up to Calabar, where it will stop. We've talked about this week, but this also clarifies that it's not working. You know, it's not working in terms of the figures and what was said initially and what is now being said. But then again, there's a form of confidence that the minister has indeed instilled in Nigerians that, listen, this is the amount, this is what we're going to pay, this is what's going to happen, and it's going to take 8 years, 8 full years to complete this project. And that's exactly what we're seeing as well.
There's also the conversation about competitive bidding, which Alhaji Atiku Abubakar had brought up as to why exactly they give this to Shaguri, why did they give this to High-Tech, without giving the option for others to bid competitively for this. You know, there were other issues that were raised as to exactly how much this cost, why is it being done now. He did say that the plan had been gotten by the current president at the time that he was governor. That's why the past two administrations could not work on it, because that was part of the argument. It was like, oh, he just got into power recently. How was he able to make this happen in the past, how many months, 7 months, when they're saying the past two administrations had done nothing on it? So I think the response to that would be that they didn't have the plan and that the current president had it when he was governor. So yes, there's still several reactions concerning this. Oh, some people also asked why exactly is it starting from Eco Atlantic? But he said it's a Lagos-Calabar, not Calabar-Lagos, and the 0.0 is coincidentally is Lagos-Atlantic. It wasn't intentional, but it's coincidental that it starts from Lagos-Atlantic. But yeah, that's the update to that story, but I'm sure that there'll be more. There's also the landmark case as to, they've talked about that, they've talked about why exactly are there conversations about possible demolitions of buildings in landmarks. So, yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's go back to the initial discussion, which was the entertainment story, we do have joining us OC Dirisu, who joins us live this morning. Hi, OC. Good morning to you. Can you hear us? Hi, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I can.
All right. So initially, before you joined, we had a conversation concerning what's been going on with the music industry, entertainment, and the economy, and of course, what bosses should know on a Friday. So can you speak to us what the story about Ruga and the music bosses are indeed going through as we speak?
Basically, from where I'm seated, from my perspective, I would say it's more or less, there's a lot of things that are unsaid. You understand? I'm not privy to the contract. I don't know what went down, and I'm also a friend to Ruga, by virtue of being an on-air personality, and also a friend to, Jonzing as well. We all work in the same ecosystem. But what I do believe is, at the end of the day, things like this, when they come to social media, it gives, a lot of, it gives a foundation to a lot of people to interpret it in whatever ways that they want to interpret it, and everything. And I do believe that, as an artist, once you leave a record label, or when you are when you are exiting like a certain situation and you feel like, there are certain things that you don't have, clarity on, I do believe that, you can be able to, find recompense in, by doing the right thing, which is either seeking redress in the court of law or, getting your lawyers to actually just go through the fine print. Sometimes bringing it on social media doesn't, from my perspective, it's not you coming to say, okay, you know what, I want clarity on these things. It's sometimes just saying things because you want to be able to get, certain traction or something. So, yeah.
All right. So it's not a really great idea that he's brought this to social media. How do you foresee that this might impact his career? He's talked about doing a number of big shows this year and doing a number of touring around the world. Do you think that this might negatively impact his career in any way?
No, I don't believe so. Because I think the music industry is more liberal right now. The music is getting directly to the fans. Before we used to have the very few tunnels, which were TV, radio, and right now we have social media. We have DSP. So right now, as long as the song is good and the promotional plans are set in place, songs will definitely get to the final listeners. But the way the industry is structured, here in Nigeria and everywhere in the world, there are people that might want to lowball you. There are people that have what's it called right now, setting loyalties to certain people, and people that believe that, or you shouldn't have done XYZ or anything. And yesterday he came out too, after going on that social media rant to, he did a live on Instagram to actually apologize for talking about what he talked about and everything. So I believe that whatever it is will be resolved amicably, and I don't believe that it will actually just affect his career. He's about to release a joint EP with Benson. He's dropped 2 songs already in 2024. So I think he's on the come up, and everything. Then he would also understand that now that he's out of that Jonzing World structure and is on his own right now. So there are certain things that he too, as a record label or an entertainment outfit, boss. There are certain things that he will now need to do for himself. Promotions, putting your music out there. So, like I said, I don't believe that it will affect his career if everything that he needs to do as regards getting the music directly to the listeners are being done. So, yeah.
Also, what can we do to ensure that this doesn't become something that, it's become a norm in a way. We almost always expect that when artists are leaving their record label, a lot of the time is amidst chaos or disagreements. How can we put in systems and structures that would ensure that both the artist and the record label feel properly catered to, and when they're parting on amicable terms?
Fine print, actually. Meaning before contracts are signed, make sure lawyers get involved. And if there are any ambiguities or any issues, there are ways to actually remedy this. There are the courts and everything. And I do believe that most times when one party comes out to say, I've been wronged, in this way, the other party doesn't really say anything. So I believe that in the spirit of transparency, every party involved to actually come and say their side of the story. So everything is laid out there in black and white, like any other contract. You understand? The music industry industry or the music labels and the artists are not, any different. So what I do believe is, as long as there's a contract and it's spelled out clearly in black and white, and every individual going into this contract understands their obligations and what is required of them, and what they're supposed to do pending the duration of these contracts, I don't think there should be any issues. So what really causes issues is when Party A or Party B are not living up to the expectations as stated, in the recording contract. As long as everything is, like I said, it's not ambiguous, it's in white and black, I don't think we should be seeing, a lot more of this. Of these issues as regards artists, coming out to say they're getting the shorter end of the stick when they're leaving their record labels. It's been a minute since we heard, anything like this. It shows you that the industry is getting more structure, and with the entry of a lot of international players into the music industry scene, we are seeing proper contracts being drawn up. Artists having lawyers, people looking through everything, making sure that, okay, you understand what your obligations are before you actually go into this contract. So, like I said, I believe that as long as, the artist and the record company, are spelling out what they want from each other, and they come to an agreement and it's signed and it's not in bad faith. So I think we see less and less of things like this. So if you're required over a 2-3 year period to be able to say, okay, give me like 3 projects, and the record label is supposed to, invest a certain amount of money into promoting this, those projects, and the recoupables and what is due to this artist is stated, like I said, clearly on paper. There shouldn't be any issues. Like I said, as long as you read the fine print, you get your lawyer and you sign, and that it's in good faith. So, and everybody meets up to their obligations, we should see less and less of these issues.
All right. Anyway, I wish we had more time so we can carry on this conversation at length. But then again, we look forward to have you join us again. Thank you so much, Dirisu, for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan.